the Vice Chancellor and President of USP, Professor Rajesh Chandra, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Director of Urban Social Development and Public Management Division in the Pacific Department, ADB, Ms. Emma Wewe, Dean of the ADB Institute, Mr. Nayob Yuki Yoshihino, Director of Development Policy Center and Professor of Economics at the Crawford School, Mr. Stephen House, heads of international regional organizations, Professor Satya Paul, Deputy VC, Professor Cole, my former colleagues at USP, ladies and gentlemen. A very good Bulavanaka to you all, and thank you for inviting me here, Professor Chandra and Professor Paul. It is my honor task today to extend to you all a very welcome when I joined the VC to this 2015 Pacific Update Conference, followed by a very stimulating update of Fijian yesterday. I must make special mention of Asian Development Bank, the Australian National University, as always, and the university's Development Policy Center, and of course USP for their commitment and dedication towards economic development of the Pacific Island countries. At the outset, allow me to thank you all for attending the 2015 Pacific Update Conference. I was mentioning to VC earlier this morning that it's a bit of a risk to organize conferences in big lecture theaters like that, but good to see that it's nearly full. That shows the interest in regional development. This annual event brings together from the region policymakers, academicians, development practitioners, and international organizations to present and discuss latest economic, social developments in the region. It will interrogate the existing body of knowledge, question its relevance, and advise policymakers on the way forward. And that's how I see this forum to be. Ladies and gentlemen, we meet together today as firm and ancient friends, united by our history and experience and by our determination to advance values of our Pacific community. And in this regard, we are privileged to be part of a forum that has greatly assisted all our countries to work in tandem with the rest of the world. If I may add, ladies and gentlemen, this highly knowledge-based world is not a mere accident. Our islands are bound together by a common history and the endless exploration of new frontiers. Ladies and gentlemen, our people share common heritage, the quest for better economic status that will enable us to become fully independent nations. We're also bound together by common traditions and our rich cultural heritage. To a certain extent, our islands are a product of a common struggle, a revolt from colonial rule. Ladies and gentlemen, the broad theme of this year's Pacific Update Conference is Pacific development in a changing global economy. Inevitably, as evident from the list of topics, the discourse is quite dominant on economic growth strategies for the region, and rightfully so. With economic growth, balanced development will be difficult. Not too long ago, a decade ago, we used to hear and debate about new and old growth theories. And then we debated about new growth theories versus new received doctrines of economic development. This cycle continues, and this is how science progresses. We take 2 steps forward, come 1 step back. Ladies and gentlemen, let us be reminded about Smith's Wealth of Nations treatise that the principal way a society can advance its level of affluence and comfort is by increasing its rate of savings and deepening of capital markets. Smithian deepening of capital market represents a production function of technical change where one input variable grows by a savings and investment process. This will invariably contribute to the much needed efficiency and productivity gains amongst the PICs, given that they are highly consumption-based societies. Most of the PICs are today changing from being primarily agricultural to service-dominated economies, without necessarily passing through a prominent phase of industrialization. This could weaken the resilience-building aspect of PICs. Furthermore, globally, while this trend has been evident for developing countries, another trend noted along with this is that the expanding service sector has also contributed to a growing share of world trade in services, which is not that prominently evident for PICS, which again demonstrates a weak element of a growing domestic economy. Hence, a broad challenge for PICS is to determine how it can raise income from the limited number of existing factors of production, such as land, labor, and natural resources. This resource endowment can be increased, but its quality can be enhanced, hence a rise in income from it. Is it via e-commerce and ICT, as mentioned by the VC? Is it via education and upskilling of its population? Or is it via provision of quality infrastructure? Or all of the above? What are the binding constraints which need to be revisited every year in forums such as this? Policymakers in the region should also be mindful of how these strategies are implemented, so as not to further widen the gap between urban and interior population. Very relevant to PICS, thus creating impetus for further urban drift. Global experience has demonstrated that ICT and e-commerce development has tended to focus more on urban and peri-urban areas, thus pulling households out of the interior and rural areas, and in the process further exacerbating the gap between urban and interior and rural dwellers. Ladies and gentlemen, globalization has brought into our somewhat calm Pacific Ocean some turbulent currents of change. All too often, we become subdued by our sense of smallness in comparison to the rest of the world. It is a pity, really, that we allow ourselves to wallow in such thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, our strength lies in our ability to create opportunities from our smallness. I must admit that some of our neighbors have been quite successful in this, but more needs to be done given the diversity in living standards within the PICS. To date, very little has been done as a Pacific bloc to address Pacific problem. Fiji has taken a lead role in this, and I do hope member countries understand the genuine desire of Fiji to raise living standards of the bloc. Fiji will not waver away from its commitment towards its endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference will cover a number of issues that affect the lives of people within the Pacific region and have implications for the global economy. And I again wish to thank the organization funders for enabling this discourse. I do hope that these papers will be forwarded to policymakers, and we continue to build a bridge between research and policy. USP and other universities in Fiji and the region have a very important role to play, as it is the place where the thinking community are based and funded. This thinking community should not stop thinking. There are times when you don't hear much noise from these campuses, and we start wondering if the campus is empty or the great minds have stopped thinking. You all are our hope to push the frontier. We take cue from you all. Please don't fail us. Once again, I hope the discussion on these issues for these 2 full days will stimulate researchers from national and international institutes for further in-depth inquiry and enrich us, the policymakers, to find better solutions to the issues of economic growth, globalization, and human development. We look forward to your constant questioning of existing body of knowledge, expanding that body of knowledge, and feeding us, the policymakers, so that we see you, the thinking community, as our think tank. With these few words, I once again welcome you all to Fiji and USP, and wish you all in your 2-day deliberation. It's my pleasure to open this 2-day symposium and discussion and dialogue here. Thank you. Naka.